This is how I actually plan on dealing with this subject, because I'm not a scientist, and there have been many scientific debates on this subject of miracles. So I'm not going to try and prove the existence of miracles in a scientific way. And so I think that science is largely irrelevant in actually studying whether we can actually believe in miracles or not. There's a few points here that I want to consider this afternoon. And the key point that's in red there is the word and the idea of perspective. This is the key word that I want you to take home in actually looking at this subject. And in this section we will compare the might of God to the might of man. And then after that, after comparing God with man, we will then have a look at the attitude of mankind. So the evidence of the existence of God is actually explored in other talks from this place. And the evidence of God actually existing is pretty convincing. So we'll go from the existence of God as like a premise, and we'll show you from the Bible the might of God. So in this first verse in Isaiah 42 and verse 5, we see that God is the creator of heaven and earth and all of the wonders of nature. Thus saith the Lord God, thus saith God the Lord, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people on it, and spirit to those who walk in it. So we see there that God, we have an expression of God's might, that he actually created the heavens and the earth and all the people that are living and breathing on it. And in Revelation 4 and verse 11, worthy are you, our Lord and God, to receive glory and honour and power, for you receive all things, and by your will they existed and were created. So it's by God's will that the heavens and the earth were created. And he actually created the earth for a reason, to receive glory and honour and power. So that's why he actually created us, so that we might glorify him. So God has actually created everything, and he knows things down to their minutest particle. And in Job, God says, where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. This chapter in Job 38, is actually dedicated to the fact that man is incapable of understanding the wonders of nature because he wasn't there at the time of creation. That man wasn't there when he formed the universe. Another verse there in 1 Chronicles 29. Yours, O Lord, is the greatness and power and glory, the victory and the majesty. For all that is in the heavens and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Both riches and honour come from you, and you rule over all. In your hand are power and might, and in your hand is it to make great and to give strength to all. So the Bible here states that everything in the world is down to the mighty hand of God, that God reigns over all. We will see that this isn't man's opinion as we go on in our talk. But to finish off this section on God's might, we could say a lot more, but we'll just sum up this section in this little punchy verse from Luke's Gospel, there from Luke 1. For with God nothing shall be impossible. So if we believe in God, then the argument ends here. For if we are a believer in God, then miracles that he performed directly or via a faithful servant could without a shadow of a doubt have been done. Because with God nothing shall be impossible. So we've dealt with the might of God, and now we'll look at man's might and see how it compares. So we've got a man's head, because that's where all of the things that man has done has come from, through his intellect. So here we see the achievements of man, that man has achieved many discoveries and technological breakthroughs that have altered our lives dramatically. We have in 1955 the microwave oven, which helps us in our busy lives, that we can warm up a meal in minutes instead of hours. In 1958 we have the jet plane, and 1962 78 have satellites and GPRS. In 1981, which I remember well, with my brother Paul, we had a ZX Spectrum, which was the height of computing power in that time. In 1973, we have the first mobile phone call, and in 1998 we have an MP3 player. In 1984 we have DNA fingerprinting, and 1961 man has gone a lot further in DNA fingerprinting. So this is some of the might of man. So having seen all that, it hardly compares to the might of God, who has created everything. So this is really very, very small, and God is almighty and all knowing and has created everything. So what does God say about man's wisdom? God's view on the might of man. Man thinks that he's great and is the bee's knees, but this is what God thinks of man. In 1 Corinthians 3, let no one deceive himself. If anyone among you thinks that he is wise, which most of the scientists do in his age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. For the wisdom of this world, so all of those things that we have seen of man, the wisdom of this world is folly with God. And move on to Isaiah 55. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. So when God looks down on us with all our advancements and all our fancy gadgets in science and philosophy, God thinks that we are fools. If God's ways are higher than our ways, then we cannot really question the plausibility of miracles, can we? Especially when we have ample evidence of the existence of God, which we can see in other talks and videos. We've seen then that man has done many marvellous things. However, going back to our key word, perspective However, we must get things into perspective. The way that man behaves and disputes the believability of miracles shows us that man thinks that he is actually the highest form of intelligence. Why then does man ardently oppose the notion that there is a higher intelligence that can perform the mighty acts that we read in the Bible? Well, the reason is pride. And the Bible talks a lot about the pride and of the arrogance of man. In Psalm 10 and verse 4, in the pride of his face the wicked does not seek him. All his thoughts are, there is no God. So man doesn't seek God's ways. He thinks himself to be highly intelligent to the exclusion of all others, including God. In Daniel 4, and the kings answered and said, is not this great Babylon which I have built by my mighty power, as Nebuchadnezzar said, as a royal resident for thy glory of thy majesty? So he thought that he had done everything by his own might and his own power. King Nebuchadnezzar thought that it was by his own might that he had built many wonders and established a great empire. But all his power was down to the hand of God, setting him up as a mighty Pharaoh. And we're continuing on the reason of pride, that man doesn't accept God. In Isaiah 31, woe to those who go down to Egypt for help and rely on horses, who trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But do not look to the Holy One of Israel or consult the Lord. The Egyptians are man and not God, and their horses are flesh and not spirit. When the Lord stretches out his hand, the helper will stumble, and he who is helped will fall, and they will all perish together. Here we, Israel, as God's chosen nation, that they were told to trust in God when they went into battle, and not put their trust in horses or in men's strategies and engines of war. Israel were warned here that if they went down to Egypt and bought their horses, that they wouldn't be as reliable as the mighty hand of God, because these horses are flesh and not spirit, and they will fall and they will perish. But if the nation of Israel, if they trusted in God, then they would win their wars, as they did numerous times when they did trust in God. Perspective is important. Man thinks that he's the highest form of life here, and then miracles aren't possible because man can't do them. But a man who's created by God, then we know that there is a higher power that is mighty. Then miracles are indeed plausible and possible. So to deny miracles is like saying that there is no God, which is what men and women want to do, because they want to do the things their own way. They want to rely on their own strengths. However, if we humble ourselves and recognise God as the maker and creator of all things, then miracles won't be a stumbling block for us. So before I wrap up, I just want to say a few words of how and why these miracles were performed. So the miracles that Jesus and the apostles performed, they weren't illusions and tricks, and they do seem very convincing, but they are tricks and illusions. But what God does aren't tricks and illusions, they are real. Nicodemus knew that the miracles performed by Jesus were only achievable if God had performed the miracle through Jesus. Jesus was just the instrument showing the power of God. So even Jesus, even though he was a man, he's highly respected, that he couldn't perform the miracles on his own. He needed God's power, as we see in John 3. This man came to Jesus by night and said to him, "Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher from God, for no one can do these signs that you do unless God is with him." And in Acts 2, men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man attested to you by God with mighty works and wonders and signs that God did through him in your midst, as you yourselves know. As miracles can only be done by the Spirit-gifted believers, we can see how man can find it hard to understand them. The fact is, man will not be able to scientifically explain miracles, because as we have seen, God's ways are higher than our ways. And only God has the power to perform these miracles. So we're not really going to understand how they work out in a scientific way. As our miracles could only be performed by God, the miracles were in the first century. They were a witness to the existence of God and his message, because we have seen that God used his power through people to do these miracles. So if these miracles were happening, then it proved that God existed, and also that the words that they were saying were true. Romans 15 and verse 19, by the power of signs and wonders, by the power of the Spirit of God, so that from Jerusalem all the way around to Illyricum, I have fulfilled the ministry of the gospel of Christ. So it's by the power of signs and wonders that he fulfilled the ministry of the gospel of Christ. So it's by miracles and by signs and wonders that show to people that what he was speaking was truly the word of God. And in Mark 16, whoever believes and is baptized shall be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will cast out demons, and they will speak in new tongues. And they went out and preached everywhere, while the Lord worked with them and confirmed the message by accompanying signs and miracles. So what we read in God's Spirit word, we can see to be true in our lives, that we can believe then in the power of God and his salvation. And then we can make the choice to be baptized, because we know that we can trust in God and his power and also his promises. So to close, we'll summarise the points that we have considered. So we've considered God's might and how that he has made all things. We've seen the might of man and actually his puny efforts in his might, and we've seen that it's all down to perspective. That if we know that there is a mighty God at work in our lives, then there is actually no problem in believing in these miracles. So going back to our key word of perspective, that we can think ourselves as the highest form of life can ever exist and not believe in miracles, or we can have a more balanced and humble approach and see that we fit into God's great scheme of things. And then once we have accepted that, then we can believe in miracles and also believe and be baptised and have the hope of the gospel message.